GM, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Once again, Happy New Year. This is, of course, the first GM stream of the new year. Today is Friday, the 3rd of January. I just wanted to say, you've probably noticed my camera is off today. I'm a little bit under the weather, hence no stream over the last couple of days, coming down with a bit of a cold that you can probably hear in my voice. So I'm going to make this one fairly brief today. But obviously, the show must go on. And let's get straight into the analysis looking at Bitcoin then. So we can see that Bitcoin is pretty much following the path to a T at the moment. As you will see from here, I am expecting a bit of downside at this point in price. Obviously, we might push up a little bit higher to around 98,000 or potentially up to 99. But as long as we are closing today's candle under 100,000, I don't really see price sort of shooting straight up before having another retest lower again. Just interestingly, if we put on our daily moving averages here, you can see we've actually closed below both the 20 and the 50-day moving average. And what I am now expecting to see is that the price does come down to the 100-day moving average, which is currently around about 86. But of course, this moving average is rising every day. So if this were to come down when I'm expecting the next low to form, which would be at some point next week, it could be that we meet this moving average closer to around about 87 to 88,000. So that is one potential scenario that I've got on the table. Certainly, if this low gets breached and we actually close below this trend line, I will be expecting a move down to there and actually seeing a reaction from that level. If we go back to last year, and actually just look at it was back in January of last year, and we look at where the low came in, we actually saw a low towards the end of the month, and that actually came right in on that 100-day moving average, making a low down at around 39,000 before bulls then stepped in and we were onwards and upwards after that test. So potentially we're going to see something similar happen this year as well. Will this repeat, and will we see a test of the 100-day moving average before price then goes onwards and upwards? It's definitely possible, but like I say, I am expecting probably a low to come in the first half of January before a probably more explosive move up to the end of January for price. So let's see where we go from here. But they're my current thoughts on Bitcoin. If we look at the liquidation levels, we can see not really too much information to gauge from here. Obviously, as you'd expect, we've got liquidations below the recent lows over the last week and above the recent highs. So obviously we had come in over the last few days and taken some liquidations out above the price, obviously liquidating some short traders. Potentially we now might look for a move the other way if price cannot get back above 98,000 today and start to trade towards 100,000. And obviously market makers might then target these liquidations down towards 90,000. So pretty neutral really on the liquidations. One thing I did want to touch upon as well, if we actually go over to the Bitcoin ETF flows, we can see that interestingly, BlackRock had a very, very big negative out day yesterday. IBIT here, we can see 332.6 million as an outflow. So very unusual, really, because all of the other ETFs showed inflows. And I had picked up someone speculating that potentially BlackRock are reporting a day late. Could it be that actually these numbers here are from the 31st? Meaning the 31st numbers are from the 30th, the 30th are from the 27th. Obviously, that might fall in line with the pattern we've seen of BlackRock having larger outflows, usually a day later than the other ETFs. I'll be very interested to see what the BlackRock numbers are after today to see, obviously, if they have gone positive. But as we've touched upon before, usually these large outflow days have happened when the price has sort of bottomed. So we've seen this on sort of several other occasions that these outflows usually mark lows in the price of Bitcoin. And from there, we sort of see extended moves. Obviously, we've got this white line here that sort of tracks the total net assets. Below that is the Bitcoin price, is this orange line. So you can see how a lot of these outflows have actually marked lows in the Bitcoin price. And could it be that this cluster of outflows are actually signaling that price is bottoming out? Obviously, this would lead us to believe that a lot of the ETF buyers are actually retail money and they are getting overexcited when the price is going up and they are panicking out of positions when the price is going down. So could it be that actually we're getting close to low in price here already due to seeing these larger outflows? If we actually go onto the weekly outflows, it's a little bit easier to sort of visualize the outflow for the week, and obviously also to see where these outflows had previously corresponded with some bottoms coming in on the price. So that's just one thing that is probably important to bear in mind. But let's see what Bitcoin does from here. Obviously, it really is on Bitcoin to prove itself. If it does want to go higher, I'd want to see closing back above 100,000, ideally back above 102, 103,000 to really give us some encouragement that Bitcoin has put a low in already. Otherwise, I think the risk is still there that we do run a little bit lower, setting in the low for January over the first or second week of the month, potentially coming down and reconnecting with that 100 daily moving average before trying for some more upside later in January. So no real change there. And also, if we just look at that moving average, where that's coming in, that's literally coming at the bottom of my value area, the area that I've said I'd be looking to accumulate more Bitcoin or add to Bitcoin longs. So quite interesting that that moving average is coming in at that level. Let's just take these off and move on to Ethereum. So Ethereum starting to show a little bit of strength, pushing up to the top of its recent range. So again, a bit like Bitcoin, I'd want to see Ethereum really start to prove itself, get some closes above 3,536, really to tell me that Ethereum is looking bullish. And from there, it should try for more upside. Probably the next area of resistance would come in around about 3,720 and above there 3,820. So let's see if Ethereum can also get a bit of a move. If Bitcoin does start to roll back over and retest its lows again as expected, then of course I have said I'd look to accumulate Ethereum down around about 3,100 down to 2,800 would be excellent value for Ethereum, I believe, especially in January, which historically is Ethereum's most bullish month going into its most bullish quarter. So I'm still expecting very big things of Ethereum. Obviously, in terms of targeting more upside for Ethereum, we really have to see Ethereum getting back above this descending trend line, back up to 4,000 and closes above 4,100 to tell me that Ethereum will be marking up higher, likely with targets all the way up to 7,300, 7,700. I'm really thinking this is where Ethereum goes over the next 6 months, really. I would say 3 to 6 months would be the time frame for these targets. And obviously that does tell you that I am expecting this market to go full bullish again very soon after this consolidation plays out. Of course, we've got Solana here. So Solana starting to show some strength. Solana has closed back above the $200 level and is now breaking out from this descending trend line, this descending channel. So this is taking me a little bit by surprise. Obviously, I would have expected Solana to follow the rest of the market, to follow Bitcoin and Ethereum. But it looks like Solana is been a bit of a first mover here. And of course, what I'd want to see now really is to see Solana sustain this breakout, to see a couple of consecutive daily closes above this descending trend line to tell me that Solana is likely to run back towards this 227, potentially up to this 234 level here, which is obviously the underside of a lot of this price action we saw from the highs. And if it can get back above, call it 235s, then Solana should not have very much resistance standing in its way to go back to 260, back to its all-time highs, and then probably higher from there. If we do draw on a Fibonacci retracement, we can actually see that, according to this, our next resistance is going to come in around about 219, being the zero point 0.5 level. So that would be quite an area that Solana will want to recapture to obviously encourage us that Solana is likely to continue up to higher prices around about 230. So we've got some pretty defined levels there. Call it 220, 230. Obviously, sort of $10 increments for Solana. Let's see if it can prove itself. And if Bitcoin and Ethereum can hold up, then that should help Solana to maintain this momentum. Looking at Pepe, then so Pepe also starting to push up, making its way just above this range it had been in, breaking out over the last couple of days. So again, Pepe is another one that has been a stronger crypto throughout this bull market so far. And I really want to see Pepe get back to this 2290 level, closes above there, should then open up the door for Pepe to run on higher to the 786 in the first instance, and then back to all-time highs. So obviously Pepe is going to probably be likely led by what Ethereum does. So you can see the resemblance in the Ethereum and the Pepe charts. And like I say, really, it's just waiting for the majors to start to prove themselves. I think really we're looking to see Bitcoin get back above that 100,000. I think when Bitcoin does that, Ethereum should make its way back to 4,000, and the entire altcoin space should really start to send. If we do look at Bitcoin dominance is breaking down. This is something that we had talked about, looking to see Bitcoin dominance likely break down in January. So this is encouraging if you're holding altcoins. Obviously, it's unlikely that Bitcoin is going to see a more significant drop if Bitcoin dominance is falling. Usually when Bitcoin drops, we see that altcoins drop further, and we expect this to go higher. So things are looking fairly good here for altcoins, and I personally am still just taking a bit of a wait and see sort of decision at the moment, just when it comes to some of the trades I'm in. But yeah, obviously encouraging to see that Bitcoin dominance is starting to fall down, giving alts a nice little run, and let's see if the momentum can continue in altcoins for now. Dollar has pushed up yesterday. It's really started to push into this 618 that I talked about in the last GM stream. So let's see if we find a bit of resistance here. Obviously, this is known as the golden pocket. So let's see if the dollar does find a bit of resistance. That might obviously help out some of our crypto assets with the dollar starting to come off. Obviously, Bitcoin being priced in the dollar, it makes sense that if the dollar is a bit weaker, then Bitcoin can rally in US dollar values more easily against the dollar. Obviously, we've seen both crypto, i.e. Bitcoin, and also the dollar doing very well over the last few weeks, which can happen. But I think ideally over the next few months, we'd want to see the dollar come off and sort of make a bit of a downtrend to help crypto get a bit of a tailwind. If we look at the stock markets, then stock markets are pulling back so far this week. I did notice, obviously, stocks fell yesterday whilst Bitcoin was fairly strong. So what I'm really looking to see is for stock markets to hold this low and start to push on higher. Obviously, further weakness in the stock market could spill into some weakness into Bitcoin. So potentially that might be one catalyst that sends crypto lower, that sends Bitcoin down to around 90,000 again, could be a further down move in the stock market. But I am expecting stocks to perform well over the course of this year, certainly in the first half of this year, with sort of Trump coming in as president. I do think that the Fed have lightly lowballed their interest rate cuts so far, with only saying they're going to do two. Obviously, we've got inflation data later on in the month again, so I think all eyes are going to be on that. Obviously, we want fairly cool inflation reads, which doesn't really give the Fed much ammunition to be any more hawkish than they've been at the last FOMC meeting. So it's going to be interesting to see how the macro all sort of fits in. But Just finishing off again on Bitcoin then. So Bitcoin following the path pretty accurately for now. Like I say, I'm still going to be expecting this path to play out until it doesn't, i.e., until we start to see some real deviation and Bitcoin start to close above the most recent high back on the 24th, 25th of November, which was obviously the Santa rally, albeit a very, very sort of limited Santa rally that we got, then I'll still be expecting Bitcoin probably to trend down a little bit more over the next week or two, potentially down to that 100-day moving average that I just mentioned, which will come into the high 80s likely by the time Bitcoin makes its way down there. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you for watching. Obviously, thank you for bearing with me today with my cold. And yes, I will be back on the next one, hopefully tomorrow, and hopefully sort of feeling and sounding a bit better and able to show my face again. So have a wonderful day and talk to you all on the next one. GM, GM, GM.